Folks, gather round because we need to talk about a plague that's sweeping our nation. No, not murder hornets or man buns. I'm talking about fake news. It's like a bad toupee on the head of American politics. Obvious, embarrassing, and yet somehow still fooling people. Fake news has become as American as apple pie, baseball, and complaining about the weather. It's everywhere, and it's changing the way we think, vote, and argue with our uncles at Thanksgiving dinner. From election fraud, claims to conspiracy theories about lizard people running the government. I mean, have you seen Mitch McConnell? Fake news is reshaping our political landscape faster than you can say alternative facts. But here's the kicker. Fake news isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. This flood of false information is eroding trust in our institutions, dividing communities, and making it harder for people to separate fact from fiction. It's gotten so bad that some folks would sooner believe that the earth is flat than accept that their favorite politician might have, actually lost an election. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to dive deep into the world of fake news. Let's talk about the Bugatti scandal, folks. It's a tale so ridiculous it makes Sharknado look like a documentary. Picture this. A story spreads faster than a celebrity breakup rumor claiming that Bugatti, the fancy car company that makes vehicles worth more than my entire life savings, is giving away free cars. Now, if that doesn't set off your BS detector, I don't know what will. This fake story claimed that Bugatti was feeling generous, or having a midlife crisis, and decided to hand out their multi-million-dollar supercars like Halloween candy. The news spread like wildfire on social media, with people frantically sharing the post, tagging their friends and probably practicing their "I'm a Bugatti owner now" face in the mirror. It was the digital equivalent of a stampede at a Black Friday sale, but instead of fighting over discounted TVs, people were battling for imaginary luxury cars. Not only did people believe it, but some even started planning road trips in their non-existent Bugattis. Bugatti, probably wondering if they'd accidentally stumbled into the twilight zone, had to issue a statement saying, no, we're not giving away free cars, please stop calling us. The whole incident was a perfect example of how fake news operates. Create an outrageous claim, make it just believable enough, and watch as people's desire to believe overrides their common sense. Social media, the place where facts go to die and cat videos reign supreme. It's like the Wild West of information, except instead of cowboys and tumbleweeds, we have keyboard warriors and viral memes. Social media has become the superhighway of misinformation, a place where fake news travels faster than a politician backpedaling on a campaign promise. Think about it. In the olden days, like 15 years ago, if you wanted to spread a rumor, you had to do it the old-fashioned way. Whisper it to your neighbor over the fence or pass notes in class. Now, with just a click of a button, you can share a completely bogus story with thousands of people before you've even had your morning coffee. Social media algorithms are like that friend who always suggests another round of drinks when you're already tipsy. They keep feeding you more of what you engage with, creating echo chambers that would make the Grand Canyon jealous. If you click on one conspiracy theory about lizard people running the government, suddenly your feed is full of posts about shape-shifting reptilians in suits. And let's not forget the speed at which this misinformation spreads. By the time fact-checkers have put on their detective hats and started investigating, the fake news has already made 3 laps around the globe and started a new life in Tahiti. It's enough to make you want to throw your phone into the sea and communicate via carrier pigeon instead. At least pigeons can't share fake news yet. Section 4. Influencers, unwitting accomplices, or deliberate deceivers. Let's talk about influencers, those social media demigods who can make or break a trend faster than you can say #sponsored content. These modern-day Pied Pipers of the internet wield more power than a toddler with a permanent marker. They can lead their followers just about anywhere. But when it comes to fake news, are they unwitting accomplices or deliberate deceivers? It's like asking if a bear uses charming in the woods. We may never know for sure, but the results can be messy either way. Picture this. An influencer with millions of followers shares a post about a miracle diet pill that can make you lose 50 pounds overnight. Suddenly their entire fan base is clamoring to get their hands on this magical weight loss wonder, probably envisioning themselves transforming into supermodels faster than you can say Photoshop. Problem? The pill is about as real as my chances of winning an Olympic gold medal in synchronized swimming. But because it came from their trusted influencer, fans swallow it. Hook, line and sinker, and probably try to swallow the non-existent pill too. Now, some influencers might genuinely believe the fake news they're spreading. They're like that friend who always falls for email scams and still thinks there's a Nigerian prince out there waiting to share his fortune. But then there are the others, the ones who know exactly what they're doing. These are the snake oil salesmen of the internet, the digital equivalent of that guy trying to sell you a genuine Rolex out of his trench coat. They spread fake news deliberately, either for personal gain, to push an agenda, or simply because they enjoy watching the world burn. Section 5, Russia's role meddling from afar. All right, folks, let's talk about Russia. And no, I don't mean their contribution to literature or their impressive collection of fur hats. I'm talking about their role in the fake news epidemic that's sweeping across America like a bad cold at a kindergarten. It's like the Cold War never ended. It just moved online and started wearing a Make America Confused Again hat. Russia has become the master puppeteer of misinformation, pulling strings from afar and watching as we dance to their tune of chaos. Picture this. In a dimly lit room somewhere in Moscow, a group of tech-savvy operatives are hunched over their computers, furiously typing away. But they're not writing the next great Russian novel or planning a space mission. No, they're crafting fake news stories designed to make Americans argue with each other more than siblings fighting over the last slice of pizza. These Russian troll farms, and no, that's not where they grow internet trolls, although that would explain a lot, are churning out fake news faster than a teenager can type LOL. They create fake accounts, fake websites, and even fake events, all designed to sow discord and confusion. It's like they're playing a massive game of mess with the Americans, and unfortunately we keep falling for it. They've mastered the art of creating stories that are just plausible enough to be believed, but outrageous enough to get people riled up. Their goal isn't to support any particular ideology, it's to create as much chaos and division as possible. Section 6, the domino effect, real-world consequences of fake news. All right, folks, let's get serious for a moment, and trust me, that's not something I say lightly. We've been chuckling about fake news, but the reality is about as funny as a root canal performed by a clown. The real-world consequences of this misinformation epidemic are like a game of dominoes, except instead of little dotted rectangles, we're talking about the pillars of our democracy. And let me tell you, when these dominoes fall, it's not just a satisfying click-clack sound. It's the sound of our society's foundations crumbling. Let's start with elections, shall we? Fake news has turned our voting process into something resembling a reality TV show, minus the fun of watching C-list celebrities eat bugs. People are making decisions based on information that's about as reliable as a weather forecast from a groundhog. We've got voters showing up to polling stations armed with facts that have less basis in reality than my chances of being crowned Miss Universe. But it doesn't stop at elections. Fake news is eroding public trust faster than acid rain on a limestone statue. People are starting to eye even the most benign news stories with the suspicion usually reserved for a cat presenting you with a dead mouse. And let's not forget about the real physical consequences. Remember when some genius read a fake news story about a pizza place being involved in a child trafficking ring and decided to play hero by showing up with a gun? Yeah, that happened. Fake news isn't just changing minds, it's changing actions, and not in a let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya kind of way. Section 7, AI-generated content, the new frontier of deception. Hold on to your tinfoil hats, folks, because we're about to dive into the brave new world of AI-generated content. Just when you thought fake news couldn't get any faker, along comes artificial intelligence ready to take our misinformation crisis to infinity and beyond. AI-generated fake news is the Frankenstein's monster of the digital age. Except instead of being afraid of fire, it's afraid of fact-checkers. Imagine a world where computers can churn out fake news articles faster than a caffeinated squirrel on a typewriter. These AI systems are like the ultimate Mad Libs game. Except instead of creating silly stories about your Uncle Bob's stinky feet, they're crafting convincing narratives about political scandals and global conspiracies. They can mimic writing styles, create fake quotes, and even generate realistic-looking images. The scariest part? These AI-generated fakes are getting harder and harder to spot. Gone are the days when you could identify a fake story by its poor grammar or outlandish claims. Now, AI can create content that's so polished and plausible it could fool even the most discerning reader. We're entering an era where the line between real and fake is blurrier than my vision after a marathon session of doom scrolling.